Talk City, a weekly podcast, features interviews and events happening around town. Tune into Talk City Greensboro every week on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, and download the podcast from SoundCloud. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Talk City Greensboro. It's an easy way to stay in the know while you're on the go and keep up with what's going on in Greensboro city government. I'm your host, Josh Johnson, and with me is the man who told me he took that line out of the script, but it is now back in the script, Mr. Devin Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
you are throwing me curveballs like I love it.
I got to keep you on your toes.
Good man. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Taking care of your elders.
That's the way to keep your mind sharp.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Parks and Rec has been very busy, and at the center of all of this commotion is the Smith Senior Center. And we are joined by Jennie Matkins, the Senior Services Coordinator for Parks and Recreation for the City of Greensboro. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got a lot of information to cover about the Smith Senior Center.
There's a lot going on.
Yes. For people who don't know, the Smith Senior Center is kind of its own tight-knit community. So would you kind of speak to us about what it's like being a part of that?
Sure. So Smith Senior Center is not grouped into the other community recreation centers. We are under special programs, and for good reason, because we are our own little hub of activity. We currently serve seniors 55 and over. From 8 to 5, but then after 5, we serve adults of all ages in the evenings till 8 o'clock. So yes, we have lots of weekly activities going on. We have tons of classes each week. We have tons of classes each day. We have an indoor pool where we do water aerobics, open swim. We have a fitness room that people can join for a monthly fee. And then, like I said, tons of exercise classes of all levels, from chair yoga up to boot camp to Zumba to yoga on the mat. So we've got it all.
Yeah. I mean, your garden.
Yep.
Yes.
You got a community garden. I mean, it's all over the place, and you can do anything you want in there. I mean, it's amazing.
It's a great place. And you guys, I think in the past I was there doing an interview. You also do like field trips or excursions that leave from the senior center?
We do, yes. We do monthly outings, we call them, to the bowling alley. We do lunch and a movie. We have our birthday bunch that we take out to lunch. But
so
then during good weather, we do chartered bus trips where we will go to Boone, or we'll go to Selma, or places like that for the day, and have lunch, see a show, come back. Those are all day bus trips. So we do that too. You mentioned our community garden. We just got 3 new raised beds installed from a local Eagle Scout. So we've got a little bit of everything.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
So so tell us about the pickleball court that is opened.
Yes.
That was today, right?
It was today. And of course the weather did not cooperate, so we had the actual ceremony inside in the gym, right. But we did manage to make it out to the court for the ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
In between the showers. And then the players went over to the Sportsplex to play. But, yes, we have 6 brand new outdoor pickleball courts. That was part of the 2016 bond package for tennis centers across the city. Mm-hmm. We had old tennis courts there that were not being used, and so they completely took out those tennis courts, built brand new pickleball only courts. So unlike some other facilities in the city that are tennis and pickleball, we are just pickleball.
Yeah, and it's the first outdoor pickleball court that we have here
in Greensboro. Yes, pickleball only, yes.
So for people who don't know what pickleball is there a way you can kind of describe it briefly to give people an idea?
Sure. So it is played like tennis with a low net, but instead of a tennis ball, you play with a wiffle ball.
Oh, okay.
And then you play with a paddle that's kind of like a ping pong paddle, but a little bigger. Mm-hmm. And then it's played similar to tennis. You have the 4 quadrants. When you're playing doubles, you play with 1 bounce. But there is an area on the court called the kitchen that you cannot go in, which is up near the net.
That's cool.
And then there's some, different little rules for pickleball, especially when it comes to doubles and who is serving and who's serving who and that kind of thing. So.
And surprisingly, in Greensboro, seniors love pickleball.
Yeah, I was going to say it is just
it is really
on fire here.
Yes, and so and a lot of people who have played tennis their whole life are going to pickleball because it is a little easier. The wiffle ball is not going to have the speed of a tennis ball.
Right.
And so the game is just a little slower, but not much. For outdoor courts, you use a different wiffle ball than you do for an indoor court, which we've been learning all the ins and outs of that, as our courts were getting ready to open. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. People are very passionate about it. They're very excited to have those courts there. So we know that we're going to get a lot of use.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
sounds good. Are they pretty competitive?
Yes. And, there are pickleball tournaments throughout the country, but throughout our state, there are various pickleball tournaments. And so those tournament level players want to play other tournament level players.
Sure.
Yeah.
But then we want to make sure that beginner players have a chance to learn the sport and have some instruction. So we'll be offering some free clinics. And to get people introduced, we have equipment they can check out at Smith Senior Center. And so to get them started until they're ready to buy their own equipment. We're wanting to cater to both. We want to cater to that seasoned player, but we want to introduce it to a new set of players.
Folks, yeah.
Here with us is Jennie Matkins, the Senior Services Coordinator for Parks and Recreation. And she has some information for us about the Smith Community Park.
Yes. So the pickleball courts were a good catalyst for us to look at the remaining 6 acres of property that we have around the Senior Center. And Parks and Recreation invested in a master plan for our Smith Community Park, is what we're calling it. And so the master plan was approved a couple of months ago by our Recreation and Park Advisory Commission and is now a document that we're using to move forward with other development and new and fun amenities at Smith. One of those, because of the pickleball construction, our horseshoe pits had to be relocated. So we have 4 brand new horseshoe pits that have been relocated to an open field over near where the gardens are. And then I mentioned our 3 new raised garden beds, and they've been moved to a good area. We'll be putting some fencing around that. And then our volunteers who work the raised beds, they donate all of the food to Share the Harvest Food Bank. So it's a community service project. Our folks just love to garden. They've most of them have downsized. They don't have room for a garden, or with the team effort, it's not as hard to keep up a garden as it is to keep it up by yourself. And so they're very passionate, and they're also they kind of upkeep the landscaping around the building for us. But other things that are in the works with the Smith Community Park, and I say in the works, but in the plan, are for outdoor cornhole courts. I don't know if y'all have ever seen those.
Yes.
I think
love cornhole as well.
I'm a horseshoe guy myself. I was excited to hear about the horseshoe pits.
And the pits look great. Our staff at Keeley Park installed those pits for us just in time for Senior Games Horseshoe Tournament.
Oh, nice.
Our folks were very excited, and they wanted to make sure that those pits were staying there, not just for the tournament. And I said, no, they're permanent. But also at Keeley, they have outdoor cornhole. And so we're hoping to get that installed at Smith, of course, based on funding or donations or, that kind of thing. But also in the rear of the Senior Center, we have 3 existing bocce courts that we play bocce on for Senior Games. And beyond that is an open space that we would like to have a walking trail with the fitness equipment under the shade structure that we see a lot around.
Yeah.
So that's in the master plan. And the big thing that would be wonderful for us to have is a shelter with restrooms on our property, which would service really all of the park when the center is closed.
Right.
So that's in a nutshell, what the plan is called for. It's laid out beautifully. The company that did it did a wonderful job. And so we're very excited to have a roadmap. Whenever this additional funding ever comes along,
Right.
we have ways of spending.
So you're hoping to expand there at the Smith Senior Center. But your expansion, from what I hear, is even a little bit bigger. Tell us a little bit about what may be happening over at Trotter.
Okay, yes. So senior services, we will be expanding this fall. Trotter Recreation Center is currently, or has been, a community recreation center since it opened in '76. And it's been closed since August for some renovations. And as part of the newly adopted Plan to Play Recreation Master Plan, it has been decided that Trotter will reopen as the city's second senior center.
All right.
So we're excited about that. It will serve seniors in the southwest part of the city, and it will kind of relieve some of the pressure at Smith because
Right.
we are busting at the seams. And it will give us some additional space for our classes, for
Right.
new programs.
Yeah.
It's a great facility. It's a great building. It'll have a lot of what Smith has, minus the indoor pool, but it will have a fitness room. It'll have the lounge.
Right.
But we will have a computer lab at Trotter, which we
that's
don't
very
have at
cool.
Smith.
Yeah,
So it'll have its own unique amenities,
Right.
just like Smith does. It's located adjacent to Hester Park,
Right.
which has wonderful amenities there that our folks will enjoy. And when it does open, we will be changing our names. It will become the Trotter Active Adult Center, and Smith Senior Center will become Smith Active Adult Center. And we will be dropping our ages to 50. We will start serving adults 50 and over instead of 55 and over.
Okay.
So a lot of the senior centers in the bigger cities, let me guess, you're 50 or you're almost 50. Yeah.
I'm close enough for him to be dying
Yes.
over here, not making a joke.
See,
I'm that close.
That is the reaction that I get whenever I say we're serving 50 and over. But again, we drop the senior from the title.
Yes.
And
Hey, buddy, you keep laughing it up. I'm going to be hitting the pool soon.
yeah. See,
I'm sorry.
there are advantages to
Absolutely.
getting older.
Absolutely.
We tell our folks that all the time.
There is.
But to keep up with cities like Charlotte and Raleigh and Concord, and the bigger cities are going to that active adult center kind of feel, getting away from the senior part. But really, when you talk about dropping the age to 50, you really have to drop senior from the building's name.
people-
So
That's right.
Yeah.
because I'm not far from it either, and I'm not really happy about that. But
I like where you're going.
Yes,
Well-
I would rather be considered an active adult,
That's
and
right.
I think most of our folks are, no matter what their
Well, I mean,
age.
based on the conversation we had before the commercial break, we're talking pickleball, we're talking gardening,
Yes,
we're your trips. We are active adults.
yes,
So
And-
take that, youngin.
yes.
I have nothing to say. I believe that all of this is beautiful, and I'm kind of
Yes.
at that in-between age where I don't have my own center to go to, but I don't want to go to everybody else's.
Gotcha.
So I just go out to the softball fields and have fun
There you
there
go.
with all the other in-between adults.
Well, and when we mentioned these changes to our advisory committee for Smith. We have a group of ladies that serve on our advisory committee, and they were very excited about the name change and about the age. And their response was, "We are active adults, no matter how old we are. We're very active." So they were very much in agreement with that and in support of that, and so that really kind of helped the Parks and Rec Commission to approve that change.
That's great. It's important. You be active at whatever age.
That's right.
Do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah, well, we definitely want to thank you for coming to give us all this information, what's going on in the active adult sector of Parks and Rec and what's going on at the Smith Senior Center.
Thank you for having me.
It was our pleasure. Stay tuned in weekly by subscribing to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And don't forget, everybody, you can download Talk City from SoundCloud.
That's all we have for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Talk City. Be sure to watch GTN, your official source for the latest news and information from the city of Greensboro. GTN is also available on Spectrum Channel 13,
AT&T UVerse Channel 99,
North State Channel 31.
GTN is also streams live on the city's website at greensboro-nc.gov. Thanks again for coming on.